All right, let's get straight into it. You can feel the energy building, can't you? The IPL
Yeah.
season is just around the corner.
Oh, definitely. Massive event.
And with over, what, 600 million cricket enthusiasts expected to be glued to their screens, it's undeniably huge.
You just right.
But even before the first ball is bowled, a really interesting and quite significant situation's unfolding behind the scenes.
It's fascinating, isn't it, how this enormous sporting thing, it just intersects with the often kind of hidden world of digital advertising.
Yeah.
We're seeing a conflict emerge between some of the biggest advertising players and the very over-the-top or OTT platforms.
One streaming the IPL directly,
Yeah.
to all those eager fans.
Exactly.
And at the center of this, we have major players on both sides. First, Hindustan Unilever Limited, HUL.
HUL, yeah, big name.
The company behind so many household brands you'd instantly recognize, like Surf Excel and Dove. They're also consistently one of the top spenders on advertising in the country.
Right, a giant. And on the other side,
Disney plus Hotstar, the leading platform for streaming content, and, crucially, the official OTT broadcaster for the IPL market leader.
so you've got a major advertiser and a bit of a tussle, you could say, with the dominant streaming service.
Exactly.
And this isn't just a minor disagreement, is it? The information we've been looking at suggests a, quote, serious mismatch.
Yeah, the serious mismatch between what digital ad campaigns are promising and what HUL is actually experiencing.
Okay, so how did this bubble up?
Well, it seems this whole thing started with, the viewers, us. Back in November 2024, HUL started getting a significant number of complaints from customers.
Actual complaints about ads.
Yeah, people were reporting they were seeing the same ads for products like Dove and Surf Excel over and over and over again on these OTT platforms.
Right, annoying. But how over?
We're talking about some users seeing the exact same ad pop up as much as 150 times in
Yeah.
a single week.
Wow, okay, 150 times. That feels less like effective advertising and more like, well.
Like you can't escape it.
Exactly. It certainly raises questions about how effective and, frankly, how user-friendly that much repetition is.
Definitely.
Our sources indicate HUL invests nearly, what, RS 4,000 crore in advertising annually? Huge sums.
It's a massive budget.
So when they start hearing about this level of repetition, especially with Disney plus Hotstar's ad rates reportedly jumping by over 50% during the IPL, well, you can understand why they'd be seriously concerned.
Oh, absolutely. Concerned about their ad budget being used efficiently. Every bit of that investment needs to count, right?
It's not just about viewers getting annoyed. It hits HUL's bottom line directly.
Absolutely. So our goal in this deep dive, for you listening, is to really understand what HUL discovered when they investigated these complaints.
What does it tell us about the often complex world of digital advertising on these huge OTT platforms?
Okay, so the complaints start rolling in. What steps did HUL actually take? Did they just ignore it?
Interestingly, no, they didn't just dismiss them. They proactively engaged with what are known as third-party ad tech platforms and trackers.
Yeah, the independent guys.
Exactly. Think of them as independent companies that help advertisers track and manage their online ads, really get under the hood of what was happening.
And what did these investigations reveal? Because it sounds like it went right to the heart of the agreements HUL had, right?
Yeah.
With these OTT platforms.
Precisely. The basic contractual agreement, as we understand it, is that advertisers pay for a specific number of impressions.
Impressions meaning just every time the ad shows up on a screen.
Correct. Each time an ad is displayed to a user. Now, the general understanding within the industry, the kind of accepted norm, was that a single user shouldn't see the same ad more than around 3 times, maybe within a week.
Okay, 3 times sounds reasonable, like a sweet spot.
Yeah, often seen that way, achieves reach without being, overly intrusive.
But HUL's key finding was different.
Yeah. Their key finding was that while they were indeed getting the total number of impressions they had paid for,
So the count was right.
the count was right, but those impressions weren't actually reaching the promised number of different people, or what we call unique users. Ah, okay. That's the crucial bit.
This is where it gets really interesting, and it's vital to grasp the difference between these terms. First, you have impressions total count of ad views. Then there's reach, the number of distinct individuals who actually saw the ad. Unique people.
Right. Different eyeballs.
And finally, there's frequency, how many times each of those unique users was shown the same ad.
Okay, so impressions, reach, frequency. They all sound related but mean different things.
Very different implications.
So you could have, say, 1,000 impressions, But that could mean one person saw the ad 1,000 times, which seems nuts.
Or it could mean 500 different people each saw it twice.
That's a massive difference in terms of who you're actually connecting with.
Huge difference.
It's like paying for a concert ticket, expecting a full stadium of different people, and finding out it's the same 10 people going in and out all night.
That's an excellent analogy. And for a company like HUL, which invested nearly RN Urchin's 250 crore in OTT advertising in just the last 3 months of 2024.
Quarter of a billion rupees, wow. And has plans to spend another Rs 100 crore on IPL ads alone in 2025. This kind of discrepancy is a very big deal.
You'd think so. They're making significant investments expecting to connect with a broad, diverse audience.
Exactly.
So this finding, it must have led to some serious conversations.
It makes total sense, and it led to HUL having some serious discussions with Disney plus Hotstar to try and resolve this issue.
And the thinking was, it's the platform's job to fix it.
The understanding, based on what we've seen, was that the responsibility for addressing this problem lies with the OTT platform itself.
Yes.
Especially when you consider what's at stake for Disney plus Hotstar. They reportedly have a very ambitious target. Rs 4,500 crore in ad revenue during this IPL season.
4,500 crore. That's a lot of money riding on this.
It's a huge financial goal, so keeping their major advertisers like HUL satisfied is clearly in their best interest, for the long run anyway.
Yeah, you don't want to bite the hand that feeds you, right? And to add a bit more context, it's also worth remembering that back in October 2024, there was that significant merger. Reliance's media assets and Walt Disney's operations in India.
Right, the big consolidation.
Which essentially positioned Disney plus Hotstar as the primary platform for all live sports, including the IPL.
Making them even more dominant.
Incredibly strong position in the market, which arguably places even more responsibility on them to ensure fair and effective advertising practices.
Good point. More power, more responsibility.
So we understand the core issue now. Too much repetition for some, not enough unique people reached overall. Let's dig into this frequency fiasco a bit more. What's the ideal scenario advertisers usually aim for?
Well, within the ad industry, there seems to be this kind of informal guideline, a rule of thumb.
Okay.
Many marketing executives suggest that ideally, a user shouldn't see the same ad more than about 3 times. Maybe within a single viewing session, like from opening the app to closing it.
Right, or maybe over a longer period?
Some even suggest extending that to a max of 3 times within an entire week, just to avoid, viewer fatigue. Burnout.
And the logic behind this rule of thumb makes perfect sense, right?
Yeah.
Beyond that 3rd or 4th time, someone sees the same ad.
The benefits just plummet.
Yeah, the returns diminish rapidly. You're probably not building much more brand awareness or driving clicks. You're more likely just
annoying the viewer.
Annoying the person watching. And the repeated cost of showing that ad becomes increasingly hard to justify.
Exactly. So if an advertiser like HUL pays for, let's say, 3 million impressions.
Okay.
With this expectation of an average frequency of 3.
They'd expect to reach about 1 million individuals.
They would naturally anticipate reaching at least around 1 million unique users. Makes sense.
That's not always happening.
Well, the problem arises when some platforms, and it's indicated Disney plus Hotstar isn't unique here, seem to prioritize hitting those overall impression targets.
Over the reach.
By showing the same ads repeatedly to a smaller, more concentrated group of viewers to make up the numbers.
So instead of spreading it out, they kind of blast the same few people.
It can look like that. They end up bombarding the same individuals over and over simply to meet the total number of impressions they contractually agreed to deliver.
Which means the overall reach for the campaign is much narrower. Less effective.
Significantly reduces how effective it can be, yes.
So how did HUL react? Finding out your big ad spend is basically just hammering the same small group.
Yeah.
That can't feel good.
No, definitely not. The initial response, at least in theory, is often to pause the advertising campaign.
Hit the brakes.
Until the platform can give assurances, make changes, prevent it happening again.
But does that actually happen with something like the IPL?
Well, as our sources suggest, this often remains more of an ideal scenario than a practical reality.
Yeah, I can imagine.
The draw of the IPL, that massive audience,
Okay,
it's just so powerful. Advertisers are often hesitant to completely pull their spending.
Too much FOMO, fear of missing out?
Something like that. Instead, they tend to focus on pushing for a resolution with the platform, negotiating, finding a fix.
Which is understandable. Missing out on that huge viewership isn't an easy call.
No.
But it's interesting to see how this situation seems to have influenced HUL's broader ad strategy. You mentioned they changed their budget allocation.
Yeah, they actually made a significant increase in their budget for OTT advertising, raised it from 8% to 17% of their total ad spend in November 2024,
Double down on digital,
while cutting TV.
while simultaneously reducing their spending on traditional TV advertising from 60% down to 39%.
Wow, that's a major shift.
It's a notable shift towards digital platforms, driven by their desire to connect with who they perceive as their core audience online.
But what's quite revealing here is the catch-22 this creates, isn't it?
How so?
HUL is increasing its investment in digital because they believe their audience is there. But by doing that, they're also uncovering these, well, flaws, these issues like the frequency problem in the very system they're relying on more heavily. Ah, yeah. More spending shines a brighter light on the problems. It really underscores the need for greater transparency, more reliable metrics in digital advertising.
Definitely.
And Disney plus Hotstar, being such a dominant player, they're undoubtedly aware of this dynamic. They understand their reliance on major advertisers like HUL.
They can't just ignore it.
Ignoring these significant concerns isn't really a sustainable approach for their business in the long term.
Okay. But let's flip the coin now. Look at it from the perspective of the OTT platforms themselves. What kind of pressures and challenges do they face? It can't be simple.
That's a really important angle. Fair point. Our sources indicate that in many instances, advertisers make upfront payments.
Pay in advance.
Yeah, for a contracted number of impressions to be delivered within a specific time frame. So if an advertiser agrees to, say, 10 million impressions over a week.
The platform is on the hook to deliver those 10 million views.
Exactly. They're under pressure to actually deliver those numbers.
And what happens if, viewership dips?
Yeah.
If fewer unique users tune in on a Tuesday than they expected?
This is where that tactic of artificially inflating the frequency for the users who are watching comes into play.
Ah, okay. To make up the shortfall.
To ensure they meet that guaranteed impression count they've contracted for, some OTT platforms will show the ads more frequently to the individuals who are currently active.
So it's a way for them to fulfill their side of the deal, at least on paper, by hitting the impression number.
Yes, it fulfills the contractual obligation, even if the spirit of reaching many unique users isn't quite met.
So it's perhaps less about deliberately misleading advertisers and more about trying to meet these pre-agreed targets, even if it means compromising on reach.
That seems to be a significant part of it. Reportedly, marketing heads at many OTT platforms state their goal is to achieve an average frequency of 3.
Average, not maximum.
Exactly. An average of 3 rather than strictly enforcing a maximum of 3 for every single user.
And that average allows for outliers.
This statistical average then allows for a scenario where some viewers might see the same ads many, many times,
150 times people.
while others might see them very rarely or not at all. It's a bit of a loophole, you could say, in how these metrics are often presented and measured.
An average figure can certainly mask a lot of variation, can't it?
Oh, absolutely. Some people are essentially getting spammed with the same ads, while others in the target audience might not see them at all.
Even though the advertiser is paying to reach them.
Exactly.
And our sources also highlight some technical reasons behind this. Limitations.
Yeah, there are technical limitations that contribute to this high-frequency issue. It really comes down to how user activity is tracked as people switch between different devices.
Okay, like phone versus laptop.
Exactly. On traditional web browsers, websites typically use small files called browser cookies.
Cookies, yeah. We all click accept.
Right. They keep track of whether someone has already seen an ad. But mobile apps, like the OTT streaming apps,
They something else.
they rely on unique device IDs for tracking. And the crucial point is that these two tracking methods, cookies and device IDs, generally don't talk to each other effectively.
Ah, they're like separate silos.
Pretty much. So if someone is watching the IPL on their laptop at home, they might see a particular ad 3 times. A cookie on their browser records that.
Okay, laptop knows.
But if they then decide to switch to the Hotstar app on their smartphone later on,
Phone doesn't know about the laptop.
the app doesn't have access to those browser cookies. As far as the app is concerned, it's like they're a completely new user.
So it starts showing them the same ads all over again.
All over again. The ad count essentially resets.
Which leads to that frustrating experience of being bombarded just
No.
because you switch device.
Precisely. Even within a short period. It's incredibly inefficient from an advertising perspective.
And it sounds like the platforms themselves might not even have a complete picture of how bad it is.
Well, the information we've seen suggests that many of the underlying tech systems, the tech stacks, don't deeply analyze these individual device IDs in a unified way across everything.
They don't connect the dots perfectly.
They might instead rely on a combination of things like a user's IP address, which can change, especially on mobile networks and the type of device. But that isn't as precise as tracking one unique individual across all their devices and networks.
So it's possible they genuinely don't fully grasp the scale of this overfrequency issue because their own tools have blind spots.
There's a real possibility that limitations in their own tracking mechanisms could mean they don't see the full extent of the problem. It's a bit of a blind spot in the system, it seems.
Complex stuff.
Indeed. And while Disney has reportedly acknowledged this issue internally to its global leadership,
So they know it's a thing.
it sounds like developing and implementing a comprehensive solution, one that really tackles these cross-device tracking challenges, is still, well, a work in progress.
Okay. So the current situation as we head into this massive IPL season.
Is that viewers will likely continue to experience this repetitive cycle of ads.
And advertisers will keep investing in campaigns that might not be delivering the reach and efficiency they're really hoping for.
That seems to be the reality for now.
So to really bring it all together then,
Yeah.
we're seeing this significant tension, aren't we, between the promise of highly targeted digital advertising
All that precision.
and the somewhat messy reality of how those ads actually get delivered on these major OTT platforms.
Yeah.
And HUL's experience with Disney plus Hotstar really shines a light on this whole situation right before the massive viewership of the IPL kicks off.
Absolutely. The key takeaways for you listening are really about understanding those crucial metrics: impressions, reach, and frequency.
And that they're not the same thing.
Definitely not. And recognizing they don't always align as neatly as you might think. Just because a campaign hits its impression target doesn't automatically mean it's reaching lots of different unique individuals.
Right. Volume doesn't equal breadth.
Exactly. There's a significant potential for wasted ad spend, and the technical hurdles in accurately tracking unique users across all the devices they use. That's a major contributing factor to this ongoing problem.
It really makes you stop and think, doesn't it? As digital advertising continues to evolve, becomes maybe the main way brands connect with us. What responsibility do these platforms have to ensure a fair and effective experience for everyone involved, not just the advertiser spending the big bucks, but also us, the viewers?
Yeah, the end user experience matters too.
Should the industry's focus maybe shift from simply delivering a high volume of impressions to, I don't know, truly guaranteeing broad reach and a reasonable, non-annoying frequency?
That's a really important question about where digital advertising goes next. Perhaps you, the listener, have experienced this yourself, that feeling of being chased around the internet by the same ad.
Oh yeah, to the point of frustration.
It's worth considering what the broader implications are if this issue, this frequency overreach problem, isn't effectively addressed.
How might it change things long term?
It could significantly influence how brands choose to spend their money, how they aim to genuinely connect with their audiences in the digital age. Big questions ahead.